Hey guys, what's going on? It's Fugitive here. Gonna make another Conor McGregor Mayweather video here. It's a huge fight that's about to go down here in a month. Everybody's super excited about it. I know I'm super excited about it. A lot of people back and forth on who they think's gonna win. I feel like it's pretty heavily favored in the Mayweather side. I mean, there are a lot of people who are Conor fans and think Conor's going to win, and they want Conor to win just to kind of shut Mayweather down. A lot of people don't like Mayweather. There's a lot of different things, but there's one main thing that a lot of people aren't doing is they're not doing their research and not really looking at these fighters. Basically, like this title says, toe-to-toe breakdown. Um, what Mayweather's done in his past, what Conor's done in his past, what Conor's doing right now. So we're going to go through this article together. I read a little bit of it. I didn't do all of it, so it's still fairly new to me. I figured I'd make a video about it and kind of do it with you guys. So, Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, head-to-head toe, or sorry, head-to-toe breakdown of both fighters. Twitter post by Fitzsimmons. Not sure who it is, but hey. So, it seems like it's kind of an old one, so it's basically just finding out that they're going to fight. No, it's not a misprint. So basically here we'll go down to fight info. This is just saying, introducing that they're going to be fighting. That they, had a lot of arguments in the past, and so we'll go down here. So fighting at the T-Mobile Arena, August 26th, a little less than a month from now. It's a pay-per-view. So here we get down to some big facts about the fighters. Something that we might spend a little bit of time on here. So you have Floyd Mayweather, who is 49-0, 26 knockouts. Phenomenal record. He's a legend. You have to respect him for what he's done in boxing. What he did before he retired, now he's coming out of retirement. He won a lot of fights. 49-0, that's not an easy feat to accomplish. Doing it honestly, doing it fair, not taking steroids, not doing, he did it legitly. Then you come over to Conor, 21-3, 18 knockouts. Astronomically smaller numbers. And you probably heard, if you watched any of the press conferences, I watched all of them, that Floyd finally brought up about Conor being knocked, or that he tapped out 3 times. He made that a big thing, saying that I'm not a quitter, I've never quit a day in my life. You tapped out 3 times, and of course you heard the music and the album he made. It was pretty funny. I feel like it was a little bit of, it was a little corny, but it was funny. Anyways, there's a huge difference between his three tap outs and than boxing. So boxing, you can lose 2 ways. I mean, there's more ways, of course, disqualification, stuff like that, but the 2 main ways is either you get knocked out or you win by a decision. In boxing or in MMA, you can get tapped out, you can get choked out, you can get submission, you can get knocked out, you can win by decision. There's more ways to lose in MMA than there is in boxing, hands down. Tons of ways. You got illegal moves, you got hits to the back of the head. I mean, there's so many different ways to lose. So I feel like Conor's 3 tap outs are totally they're not even they shouldn't even be in existence in this fight. It shouldn't even be a thing, because I'll tell you right now, Mayweather's not going to tap out or Conor. He's not going to tap out unless he's getting punched and doesn't get knocked out and doesn't want to get knocked down and taps out for some reason. But I can almost guarantee you there's not going to be a tap out in this fight. So that's a big thing to think about there. Is like, okay, another thing is Conor's experience. Floyd Mayweather has tons of experience. Conor is a smart guy. He's young, but he doesn't have as much experience as Mayweather. Definitely not in boxing. So Conor's stepping way out of his comfort zone and going into boxing. Even though they're similar, you still need fundamentals of boxing to fight in the UFC. You have to know how to box. You can't just be a mixed martial artist and think you can go in and kick ass. You got to know how to box. You got to knock somebody out. You can't always go to submissions. So our next thing here is age. Floyd Mayweather he's 40. He's an old man. I mean, not completely old, but he's pretty old. And you got Conor over here who's 29. He's in his prime. And I'm 26. Uh, I'm not as fit as Conor, but you know, he's in his prime. So you got a huge age gap here, and I think this is going to be a big deciding factor in this fight as well. You have Floyd, whose body is not working like it used to when Floyd was 29. You have Floyd, who's going to get gassed maybe a little bit easier, who's probably working out 3 times as harder than Conor has to work out because his body just doesn't recover as fast as Conor's. Conor's younger, he can move faster, he can get around the ring faster. Floyd is very quick. He's short. He's very versatile. You know him for his defense. That's another big deciding factor, is that age gap is going to be. I feel like I mean, even Floyd Mayweather has said it in his interviews that he thinks his age is going to play a big part. Another thing we have here is the height. So the height the height's not really going to affect anything. Neither is the weight. I don't know what these guys' weights are right now. I haven't kept up with that. I don't know I honestly don't remember what weight they have to be at for this fight. We get down into the stance. This is another thing. So you have Floyd Mayweather, who's an orthodox stance fighter, and then you have Conor, who's southpaw. Floyd Mayweather has also said this in interviews that, you know, that southpaw stance is a lot different. It's going to be a little bit different than what Floyd Mayweather's used to. It's a very different type of fighting style. So I think that's going to play a pretty big part. And you come into the reach. The reach is a little bit in Conor's favor. 2-inch reach, pretty big when you're talking about fighting stances or fighting terms. So Conor has a little bit of a reach on Mayweather. Where they're residents, and it's not a big deal. Besides, you know, the fight being in T-Mobile, so it's in, you know, Mayweather's hometown, which is going to bring a huge audience towards Mayweather. But let's be honest, it's Mayweather. It's going to bring a huge audience no matter what. I mean, look at the rounds. 387 rounds on Floyd, 37 rounds on Conor. That's a big thing with, you know, boxing is a hell of a lot more rounds than UFC, which is another thing that Conor, you know, Conor's never had to fight past 5 rounds. So if the fight goes past 5 rounds, is Conor going to be able to last that many rounds after 5? It's a big thing to take into consideration as well. That Mayweather's fought all these rounds before and Conor really hasn't. So, a little bit about what you need to know. It's not the fight that people were clamoring for, but it doesn't mean they won't watch. So basically, there's so many people that don't care about the fight, but that doesn't mean they're not going to watch it. Mayweather and McGregor have been indirectly flirting with the idea of summit for months, lobbying the occasional social media grenade, which everybody saw that, them going back and forth on social media. Again, this is just kind of talking about them getting into the fight. So we have Floyd Mayweather's boxing ability. So he's proficient at all facets of the sport. He's mastered it. He's had to after 40 years. Living out of timing opponents and keeping them out of rhythm with sharp and precise footwork, which, I mean, he's great. Even at 38, he showed in a win against Pacquiao. Whether a 23-month layoff or an unorthodox foe like McGregor change, that would be the most significant question come late August. So him taking this many months off, almost 2 years off, which is a long time to not box and then come back into it. I don't know if you guys have known of any other people who tried to step back into the sport and it didn't work in their favor. So that's another thing. You have Conor, phenomenon in the octagon. If you haven't watched his fights, I would highly recommend you watch some of his fights. The guy's he's a master at his craft. He's good. He studies his opponents. He talks a lot of shit. Yeah, but he follows what he says. You know, he's got really heavy hands. I mean, so does Mayweather. It didn't say that he has heavy hands, but I know Mayweather can punch. Then we have, it's talking about their power, Conor's power, which everybody knows. And then the defense. This is kind of where I wanted to get into, because everybody knows and everybody hates or Mayweather, excuse me, for his defensive fight style. So what Mayweather said about this defensive fight style is, as he got older, he knew that his body couldn't really keep up with the age of the younger guys that he was fighting with, and he knew he couldn't take as much of a beating. So he turned into a defensive boxer. Smart. That's why he's 49-0. You got to respect him. You have to. The guy knows what he's doing. He's mastered the craft of boxing. He knows how to win. He knows how to give it to the last round, get to split decision, and still win. Although I think some of his fights I've watched, he shouldn't have won. But I mean, you know, a win's a win. The judges scored in his favor, and he won. So there's no going back on it. I feel like there's a couple fights that he shouldn't have won, but he did. No big deal, though. I mean, his record shows it stand. You know, in the UFC, there's a lot of defensive things that you do, but not really boxing-wise. I mean, yeah, you bob and weave. You know, you gotta dodge punches. You gotta move around the ring, but you got a lot of defensive when it comes to ground. So that's another thing, is Floyd's got quite a bit of defense in his favor there. So basically, that was it that I saw in this article. There was a lot in here that really didn't matter. Then you have, you know, it's highly in Mayweather's favor. Obviously, Conor coming out of UFC, fighting in boxing, Mayweather being undefeated. You know, the best that there is right now. So it's a little in Conor or in Mayweather's favor. I try and put all my. I'm a fanboy of Conor. I'm not gonna lie. I like him. I like his trash talk. I like what he says there. You know, in press conferences. He's a showboater. He's fun to watch. I like his fight style. I like UFC. I followed it for a little while. So I'd like to see Conor come out with a win. I think that he will, only because I think that, you know, Conor puts his mind towards something, he goes out and he does it. And Mayweather's a little bit older now. So how about you guys? Let me know what you think. After all these stats that you see here on the screen, and a little bit about these fighters, what do you guys think? All favoritism aside, you know, do you think Mayweather really has what it takes at 40 years old to beat a 29-year-old in his prime? I mean, you got to think about it. Look what Conor did from the age when he started. Look what Mayweather did from the age that he started. I can tell you right now, Mayweather wasn't in big as fights as Conor's in at 29. Look where Conor's at 29. He's fighting the best boxer in the world. You know, you got to think about that. Let me know what you guys think. You know, if you like the video, hit it with a like button. Have some comments down there. I try and reply to all the comments that I get on my videos. At least say something to you guys. Let me know what you think about this fight. Let me know what you think about the stats. Again, I'll probably make another video about this fight, you know, before the fight drops down on the 26th. I know we're all excited. So let me know what you guys think. Have a good one, guys. I'm out.